don't necessarily have those star powers in terms of how huge their brands are. But again, what has gone to Lionel Messi because of his exploits at the World Cup, won it for Argentina. They've not won it in a very long time. Messi went to the World Cup, delivered those numbers and won them. But it's incredibly harsh on a player like Erling Haaland. Because I'm not sure there are many players who are going to have the season he had in the entirety of their careers. And in 2010, and rightly so, when Lionel Messi won it, he didn't win the World Cup, but he had an incredible season with the club, and it was good enough to win him the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
2014, the story was different as well. So you're wondering if Erling Haaland should be asking himself what he has to do to win the Ballon d'Or.
He broke every single record available.
He was absolutely immense. Helped
won
his
the
club
treble,
to win the treble.
scored what, 53 goals?
Yes, over 50 goals.
It's in his first season.
In his first season, winning the treble.
Did you know that he has 27 goals in 28 games?
Yes,
for his national team.
For national team,
crazy.
And for a player who is from Norway, you can't blame him that he didn't win the World Cup. Norway's not going to win the World Cup. You know, they were never going to do it. Yeah. So it's incredibly harsh that Messi had a very terrible season with PSG at his club side. Turns up at the World Cup in 7 games. And yes, he's Messi. He was brilliant. He wins the World Cup. And that is good enough to overwrite everything that Erling did in the season under Man City in his first year in the club. It's incredibly harsh on Erling Haaland. But I can understand why Messi gets it. It's voting. People decide who they think was their best player of the year, which is not necessarily factual, but their opinions. I remember Thierry Henry saying this on one of those occasions when Mickey Richards asked him, and the year where Pavel Nedved won, Thierry Henry's numbers were way, way better than Pavel Nedved. And Henry was like, if journalists are voting, it's a matter of opinion. If captains are voting, it's a matter of opinion. I think that's what we've just seen back credit to Lionel Messi.
Apart from the opinion that he mentioned, there's also the issue of likability. It is more or less like how much we like you. It's not always necessarily about performance, is it? For this win, last season, Lionel Messi wasn't the best player in the French League. At the World Cup, he was the best player, but he scored 5 penalties, and people are saying, it's just 5 penalties. So, I mean, that's not. I mean, there's still 5 goals. You have to score the penalty, but it wasn't such an outstanding display from Lionel Messi. So when you put all together, like Sitso said, it's hard for a lot of people to be 100% convinced that Lionel Messi deserved it. No?
At the World Cup, he was super. He was brilliant at the World Cup. And a penalty is a goal. If Asamoah had scored a penalty, Morocco wouldn't have been the first African country to be in a semi-final. So if you are given a penalty, you score it. Yeah. We've seen him miss some crucial penalties. Remember the Copa America, he missed the penalty.
Even at the World Cup,
he missed the penalty. Yeah. So if he scores it, it's to his credit. And a penalty is a goal. If you hit a 30-yard shot and I score a penalty, it's still 1 goal each. So credit to him for that. The only thing that kind of confuses me is how the criteria continuously changes when certain individuals are involved. So we've been made to understand that it's an individual award, which I perfectly understand. Over the years, we've seen the consistency with that. But when you go to 2010, I think that's where the first major controversy happened. In 2010. Barcelona didn't win the Champions League. They won the league and the cup. Messi went to the World Cup. In fact, that was his worst ever World Cup. He didn't score a single goal at that World Cup. Got kicked out in the quarterfinals. Yeah. On the other hand, his teammate in Iniesta also won the league and the cup. Was brilliant for Barcelona, as was Messi. Scored a winning goal in the World Cup final and won the World Cup. But we were told then that it was an individual award, and in extraordinary situations, a person's individual season can override what somebody did at the World Cup. Yeah. Which I 100% agree, because it's an individual award. Okay, it's not Messi's fault that he was in a very poor Argentina team coached by Maradona, a poorly coached team at the time. It wasn't his fault.
Yes.
Yeah. So the team you are in can also affect your performances, and no matter how good you are, it can affect you. So individually, when he and Iniesta were in the same team, some may argue that Messi was better. So I perfectly agree. And then the same thing happened in 2014, if you remember, when Ronaldo had led Real Madrid to the La Decima, had broken the long-standing Champions League goal-scoring record, went to the World Cup, had a very poor World Cup, scored just 1 goal got kicked out in the group stages. At the end of the day, he still won the Ballon d'Or, and the same reason was given in extraordinary situations.
Yeah.
A person's individual season will override whoever won the World Cup. When I look at what happened this season, it's very hard for me not to use that same criteria in terms of extraordinary season.
Yeah.
We are not going to see... But Messi and Ronaldo, nobody else has produced these numbers in this sort of dominance in European football, especially in the Premier League. He's broken a Premier League record which stood in a 42-game season. That was Alan Shearer back in the day. A 42-game season. He's done it in a 38-game season.
Yeah.
He's got 36 goals in 36 appearances in the Premier League.
That's unheard of.
The most difficult league in the world. People said at the start when he came in, he's young, it will take time for him to settle. 36 goals in 36 appearances.
Yeah.
He's led Manchester City to a Champions League trophy. Never have they won a Champions League trophy. He's led Manchester City to a Champions League trophy. Scored more goals than he played games in that. Won the FA Cup with Man City. Banged in the FA Cup. Scored more goals in the FA Cup than he played games.
Yeah.
So why doesn't that criteria apply here?
Numbers, yeah.
Because it's very difficult to understand. Because to be honest, if you go back and you do a proper assessment, and this is just basically simple analysis. Iniesta's season in 2010 Messi wasn't miles ahead of him in club football. If you're looking at raw numbers, yes. But if you're looking at impact,
yeah.
Messi wasn't far ahead of him in club football. So somebody can argue that at the World Cup, because of what he did, he should have won. But if you look at Messi's club season last season, and you might pull numbers, I simply don't care because the French league is now number 6. It's not in the top 5 leagues. Again, he didn't finish as the best player in the French league.
Yeah.
He was left out of the team of the season, voted for fans. You know that Ligue 1 does 2, and both of them are official. So he didn't run through the 2. There were players who ran through the 2. Mbappe ran through the 2. We saw Openda run through the 2. Messi didn't run through the 2. His fellow players voted him in. The fans of, not PSG fans of Ligue 1 didn't vote him in. So it's very difficult how this thing happens. And let me tell you why this thing is very sad for me, where we are going the direction of this competition. If they were supposed to award the best player every year, not the best player of the year, but the best player every year, Messi Ronaldo will sweep this award till they retire. Because nobody is going to be better than Messi until Messi retires. It's a fact. He's that good. But if you are going to go by season, by what the award is supposed to be, awarding the player
awarding performances
over that period. It's very, I agree with
you. It's not awarding the most talented player.
Not talented. Because
it's awarding the one who has had the most impact.
In the time frame under review.
In the time frame.
It's quite incredible.
So
because
what about those that say that the World Cup win overshadows everything? And Daniel pointed out that then that would mean there's no consistency.
So change the criteria. Let it be clear that in a World Cup year, because
the winner will come from a World Cup winning
Messi
team.
really had a very good World Cup.
Yes, he did.
But the French League, he was, like we said, wasn't the best player there. Fans didn't vote him into it. PSG themselves, club-wise, were very underwhelming. The more reason why they have to change everything around the club now and try to go to a
Doesn't
direction.
the World Cup...
So,
doesn't it like... I mean, that's the argument some people have had. That the World Cup is the pinnacle of football and nothing else. And that in the year when a player does well and wins the World Cup, anything else is inconsequential.
I don't mind. I don't mind if that is it. If it had happened every single time.
That's what I'm saying. So you're saying that they're twisting it now?
No.
Because it's Messi?
Not because it's Messi. I gave a Ronaldo example. In 2014, Ronaldo didn't win the World Cup. Messi won the Golden Ball in the World Cup.
As a matter of fact, in 2018, Ronaldo and Modric were the same team. Ronaldo was by far better than Modric with Real Madrid. Modric was just okay. Turns up to the World Cup final with Croatia, has a good World Cup. He's the Ballon d'Or winner. You know, but the other